All right, all right. So I know we're starting a little bit early, but that's how we roll here at the Refuge Association. I want to welcome everyone to the 2022 Wildlife Refuge Awards. And get a little love. You know, it is so exciting to be in this room because there's so much legacy and work that's in this room. You know, being able to get this award means a lot because we know you put your hands in the dirt. We know you worked in this space. So I wanted to say that as someone who has worked with the service for 18 years and see the work that you guys do, I'm honored to be in this room with you guys. Every day I know you're doing something to make a difference. So thank you. So everybody asked me when I was hosting this, what the heck is a Refuge Award? So I've been telling everybody what the Refuge Award is. It's like the Conservation Emmys for the Refuge Service. Everybody's trying to get it. It's hard to get, and Jimmy Kimmel never wins one. So it's really, that's really what this is about, honoring that hard work, being in this space. And so while you're in here, I also want to talk about all those people that help you do, those unsung heroes that support you every day. So not only do I want to thank you for the work that you're doing, but I want to thank that past and present individuals that support this amazing work every day, even when most people don't realize what a watershed is, what a refuge is, and it's someplace very far away. But all of them want good drinking water. So I wanted to say that also. What I also want to do is I want to, say a special notice to some of the people out in there. So I want to start by saying, I want to give a shout out to Congressman Stephen Wasserford, the Nevada 4th District. Is Congressman here? Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna have to stand in for Congressman. Also, I want to give out a shout to one of my sheroes, Martha Williams, Director of U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Let's give her. Now, Martha, you might not remember me, but I was at the University of Montana filming a TV show with the Geno Lab dealing with environmental, eDNA. And we ran across each other, and it was like, she said, "You ain't from around here, are you?" Yes. Because I was asking all these questions. I'm saying, yeah, I was asking all these questions. So I wanted to tell you, thank you for what you're doing. The amazing work that you've done in doing the outreach for the D&I and really putting back the emphasis that this space is for everyone. Thank you. Also, now I want to talk about Cynthia Martinez. What can I say about Cynthia Martinez? What can I say about Cynthia? The chief of the National Wildlife Refuge System. So, I still owe Cynthia Martinez, I owe you a shirt. I owe you a shirt. So we ended up working together. We've done several projects together. And Cynthia, you've been amazing. I love what you're doing. Again, you're one of my sheroes because you're walking every day and you're doing the work. We did a limited edition jersey with the Kansas City Monarchs, the National Baseball League. And I got to ship that to you. So thank you, Cynthia Martinez. So now, I'm going to bring up Jeff Haskett. And Jeff Haskett is the president of the National Wildlife Refuge Association. But most people look at Jeff Haskett as a James Bond villain with that braid. You don't know if he's coming or going, but he's always there. Come on up here, Jeff. This is my friend.
Great. Thank you. All right. Okay, hello. How's everybody doing? So we have the awesome Wayne Hubbard as our MC again this year, which I think is wonderful. We asked him to do it last year. He's on our board of the National Wildlife Refuge Association. Did such a great job last year. We said, can you come do it again? And he said yes. So
Hold on. Let me wrap here. I got to do something.
I wasn't really inviting him back up. So, okay, all right.
So I promised that I was going to do my Jamie Foxx, Eddie Murphy pose with Jeff here. There we go. So now I'm done. I gotta go, Jeff.
I'm not even sure what to say about that, Wayne. But it was cool. It was cool. So anyway, thank you, Wayne, for being our MC again this year. He makes it a lot of fun. His TV show is like an amazing, urban American outdoors. It's just, it's so cool to have you with us. So thank you. I only have brief remarks. We have a lot to cover tonight. We try to keep it moving. But what I want to comment on is that it's 47 years the National Wildlife Refuge Association has been around. It's been a long and bumpy road. We have our ups and our downs, but we're always about is watching out for, protecting, advocating for, getting people to know about the National Wildlife Refuge System. And one of the things that I think was a really great thing we did, almost 30 years ago, 28 years ago, our first Refuge Manager of the Year was Steve Thompson, who unfortunately passed away. A lot of you knew Steve Thompson, just a wonderful human being, someone I knew for like 40 years. Yeah, thank you. So he was our first Refuge Manager of the Year, and we've had, like, over the years, sometimes it's been a big deal, sometimes it hasn't. It's always been a big deal, but there hasn't always been a party. So when I took over the role as the president of the Refuge Association 6 years ago, one of the things I thought is, we really need to get this to be something that's a big deal again, where we really celebrate it and bring people together. And one of the things I love about it, as I walked around tonight saying hello to people, is that here's somebody I knew like 30 years ago, or 20 years ago, or 5 years ago, and people seeing each other that, saying, oh my God, I knew you back when we worked on this project. And just so much experience in this room, dedication, and just lots of friendship. So that's what tonight's about. We're acknowledging some great people, some great work that's been done, but also a chance for you all to get together and see each other again. So thank you for being here. It's going to be a great evening. Just thank you. Have a good time tonight. Oh, well, okay. Wayne's giving me a signal. I'm also supposed to so our chair, Mike Baldwin, is actually unfortunately it's not unfortunate for him, he's in Banff, Canada, and we have a video from Mike Baldwin that we'll see now, right? Oh, I thought you were doing that.
I can do that.
Let's do the video first, and I'll turn it over to Wayne to do the next part, if that's okay.
Good evening. I'm Mike Baldwin and have the honor of serving as board chair of the National Wildlife Refuge Association. Even though I'm unable to be with you in person this evening, I wanted to take this opportunity to both welcome you and thank you for joining us to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments of this year's association award winners. The National Wildlife Refuge Association is the only not-for-profit whose sole dedication is to protect, promote, and enhance the National Wildlife Refuge System, the world's largest mosaic of public lands and waters dedicated to the conservation of wildlife and its habitats. The system's nationwide network of 568 refuges, 38 wetland management districts, and 5 marine national monuments is the envy of the rest of the world, but unfortunately is constantly under threat by insufficient funding, oil and gas exploration, border wars, and commercial development. I'm speaking to you today from my home refuge, the J. Ending Darling National Wildlife Refuge on Sanibel Island, Florida, which, like many other refuges, continues to have its share of challenges. Inadequate funding over the last 10 years has forced the refuge to reduce its staff by half, while at the same time the number of annual visitors has increased from some 600,000 to almost 1 million. And that's where the association comes in. Whether it's advocating for increased funding of the system overall, whether it's to help address challenges to uniquely threatened refuges, whether it's providing help and support to refuge friends groups of volunteers committed to provide support to their own local refuge, or whether it be undertaking programs or projects specifically aimed at supporting refuge system initiatives. Tonight, however, we undertake an association role that's truly one of the most rewarding. To recognize and celebrate the incredible contributions of individual refuge staff and volunteers who have so visibly gone that extra mile with their passion, their commitment, and their dedication. And in so doing, really made a difference. As each win is presented, I know you'll join me in extending sincere congratulations. Thank you for being with us tonight, and please enjoy the rest of the evening.
I don't know about you, but I want him to be my next voiceover for one of my movies. You know, before we go, it's always important to thank the sponsors. So I'd like to thank National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, the Association of Zoos and Aquatics, and National Wildlife Refuge System of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We got to give them some love for being part of the sponsors. So it is my honor to bring up Martha Williams, the Director of U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. All right.
So just to set the record straight, Wayne, I think what I said, or I meant to say when I first saw you working on eDNA was, I'm so glad to see you in these parts.
So let me say this to you. I had a lot of equipment and stuff, and you were like, you ain't come around here, you're not supposed to.
Well, I just would like to remember it instead is that I'm so glad to see you around these parts. And this is why I say that, because I think that is who we are, and that's who we want to be. And the last time, actually, that I was in this hotel was at a conference for brand new law professors, and I went to the first day of it, and I left, and I thought, ruh-roh. I'm not so sure this is the right fit for me. And it turns out, as I, like Jeff was talking to people before dinner, and as I look around the room, and as I think of my memories already of the refuges and the incredible people I have met in my travels so far, that this is my thing, and you are my people, and I want us to be saying, it's so good to see you in these parts. So, yeah. So thank you for having me tonight, and thank you for this night. I think that's so right to really make a big deal of this and to truly celebrate. So I appreciate that. This is what was my prepared remark, and I'm going to say it really slowly. It's not funny. I do not have the same voice. I shouldn't quit my day job, right, and do videos. But I think it so bears saying that the National Wildlife Refuge System is the world's largest and most diverse network of lands and waters dedicated to the conservation and management of wildlife and its habitats for the American public. So to just pause for a moment and think about what an incredible charge, what an incredible system that we are so blessed and lucky that many in this room, that we've had leaders who have had the foresight to create it and to support it over time, and yes, to continue to fight for it. And so I promise you that the Fish and Wildlife Service, we will continue to fight for it and protect what this privilege is for us to steward. So the Fish and Wildlife Refuges, the refuge system, plays this undeniably central role in conserving our country's wildlife. And it offers these unparalleled recreational opportunities for hunters, for anglers, for birders, for photographers, for hikers, for family picnics, and many others who enjoy or maybe haven't had the opportunity to enjoy the outdoors before. And having these places to go, whether it's to take a walk, whether it's to go for a paddle, whether it's to have a picnic or watch birds, or as I've started to love to do, go out in the evening and hear the cicadas and the katydids and hear the sounds at night, especially here in DC, to feel the breeze, to touch a tree. It's those places that are so, so very essential to our well-being, the American public, to our economy, and not just the economy, for functioning ecosystems, for wildlife, but for our own sense of well-being. And none of it, we wouldn't even be here tonight without those who support it and make it happen, without the dedicated work of our service employees, without the commitment of our refuge volunteers who donate thousands of hours, blood, sweat, and tears each year to the refuges across our country. Partner organizations are incredibly important to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service generally, but especially so to the National Wildlife Refuge System. And frankly, we couldn't do it without the partners that help us deliver what we need to deliver, and without adequate staffing in some places, we couldn't even be open without the help of our partners and volunteers. So from all of us at the Fish and Wildlife Service, I just want to say thank you. And what are we doing tonight? Really, tonight we're here, last but not least, to congratulate all of our award winners. Without your dedication, without your courage, without your hard work, none of this could be successful. So if I think of the favorite part of my job, it's our incredible employees. It's our not just sheroes, it's all of our heroes, and especially those that we get to celebrate tonight. So a heartfelt thank you to everyone who's here, to everyone we're able to celebrate, but also to all of those other unsung heroes who maybe don't get the recognition just yet, but will be our next year's and our next year's award winners. So thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Thank you so very much. I think dinner is served. Hello, hello. Mic check, mic check. Get in the house and do what you can. All right, the show's getting ready to start back again. So I would like to bring Congressman Stephen Hartsfield and Cynthia Martinez, the chief of the National Refuge System, to the stage. All right. And we're going to have a video that we're going to watch.
My role is protecting resources, public safety, and just like most people working on refuges, whoever needs help, jack of all trades. As far as refuge law enforcement, it kind of chose me. It was my way to work, to get into the refuge system. And once I started working in refuge law enforcement, it doesn't take long to figure out that you get to spend more time outdoors than any of the other job series, so that's certainly attractive. And passionate about these 4 refuges in southern Nevada because I think most people think of the Mojave Desert as a lot of sameness, a lot of brown and barrenness, but there are these pockets of just jewel habitats. And the 4 refuges are so unique and so different, and I get to go to all of them. And so that takes away all the sameness that you would think of for the Mojave Desert.
Please welcome Congressman Stephen Horsford.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Congressman Stephen Horsford. I'm proud to represent Nevada's 4th Congressional District, which covers 52,000 square miles throughout the state of Nevada. And I want to thank everyone for attending tonight, especially Robert Peloquin, who is receiving the Refuge Employee of the Year Award. Robert works out at the Desert National Wildlife Refuge Complex, which is located in Nevada's 4th Congressional District. For almost 20 years, Robert has dedicated his career to protecting Nevada's flora, fauna, cultural resources, and wildlife. Robert has also helped Nevadans and tourists alike get outdoors and learn more about the refuge system. I want to commend Robert and let him know that I will continue to work with him and all of you to protect our refuge system, which is critical to making sure this land is protected for generations to come. So, Robert, congratulations on being named the National Wildlife Refuge Association's Employee of the Year, and thank you for being a dedicated public servant. Also presenting a certificate tonight on behalf of my colleague, Senator Jackie Rosen, who was unable to be here but wanted to send her congratulations as well. Continue the great work. We're proud of your service.
Don't go anywhere. All right. Thank you, Congressman Horsford. I don't think we've ever had a congressman or a senator come to this awards ceremony and recognize our employees. Thank you. And thank you, Wayne. I mean, you're always too kind. I mean, I appreciate your friendship and your partnership with the Fish and Wildlife Service and with the National Wildlife Refuge Association, and all that you do for wildlife conservation and for the people of this country, so thank you. And thank you to the National Wildlife Refuge Association for acknowledging and really representing the people that work for us. I appreciate that deeply. But tonight, I'm honored to help announce the award that represents really what we call the beating heart of the National Wildlife Refuge System. It's our employees who work in the field on National Wildlife Refuges. The Employee of the Year Award celebrates those on the front lines who move dirt, who monitor biological resources, who protect visitors and wildlife, inspire quality visitor experiences, and make sure the bills get paid. The people that work for the United States Fish and Wildlife Service, especially on National Wildlife Refuges, I believe, are unique. They are passionate, professional, and driven. In many cases, their jobs become part of the lifestyle and define who they are. They are committed. There is nothing they think they can't do. No challenge too big or obstacle they can't overcome. They just do it and they make it happen. And they do it with whatever they have available to them. If the Secretary's advance team wants a stage, they make it happen. With a gooseneck trailer and some plywood and 2x4s, including a ponderosa pine made into a podium. Like they did at the announcement of the newest unit of the National Wildlife Refuge System, the Lost Trail Conservation Area in northwest Montana, just a few weeks ago. You know, I often refer to us as a duct tape and baling wire kind of outfit. The thing about duct tape and baling wire is that you have to have the common sense and the creativity to use it to accomplish the job. Well, Rob Peloquin has more than common sense, but I'm not really sure about the creativity part. But what I do know is that Rob is a consummate professional. I first met Rob in 2005. We're getting old, buddy. I know, it does happen. When he started at the Desert National Wildlife Refuge Complex, I was still working in ecological services, but would soon become the complex manager of the 4 refuges in southern Nevada, and thus his supervisor. I did what we call a ride-along with Rob. He showed me where the mule deer would cross the road and talked about the wildlife resources on the refuge. It was obvious to me that he was passionate about connecting with the visitors to the refuge. It was clear that Rob was the whole package, not just a law enforcement officer. He cared about all aspects of that refuge. He and I, we went through a situation that no other refuge manager and officer have ever had to go through. I believe that we earned each other's trust and respect through that process and a lifetime connection. What I will tell you about Rob is that he is incredibly humble. He believes in our mission, and he cares for the resources that we are entrusted to administer, and he wants to share those with the visiting public. Rob has demonstrated his ability to be a conservation leader and a partner with the other federal agencies in southern Nevada. He recognizes the importance of coordinating with others and helps them understand the benefits of working together. Rob is a person of high moral character and incredibly principled. I have the utmost respect for him and tend to stand a little taller while in his presence. I trust Rob with my life and those of my children. He emulates the type of person and officer that we strive to hire in the Fish and Wildlife Service. I am proud to present to you the 2022 Employee of the Year, a person very deserving of this award, Federal Wildlife Officer Rob Peloquin of the Desert National Wildlife Refuge Complex in southern Nevada. Congratulations, Rob.
Rob, we want to present you with this award.
All right. Thank you. Very nice.
Any words?
I do have some words. And anybody that knows me knows how true that is. Thank you for that applause, and thank you, folks, Congressman, Director Williams, Chief Martinez, Project Leader Des Roberts, and everybody else here for taking time out of your schedules to be here for this great event. I greatly appreciate it. And the association for being insistent and prying me out of the Mojave Desert just as the weather started turning nice. And my fellow awardees, congratulations to you. I hope this is a memorable evening for you as well. And Google is a wonderful tool, so I had prepared a celebrity-type roast for each of you. But then Eden said to keep it to 2 to 3 minutes, and I had at least 10 minutes of material for Mr. Colvin alone. So, but seriously, my name is on this award, and it's much more than just about me. It's about my coworkers and what has been kind of a difficult year for me personally, and whether they knew it or not, they've continued to inspire me. They continue to motivate me and keep me moving forward. And without them, I would have accomplished much less. And so I accept this as a group award for them as well, because it takes a team effort to work on these refuges. And for the handful of folks that really lent me their ear and their patiently listened to me and kept me standing up when I thought I might not be able to. Patience is the softest form of love, and right back at them and then some. And what that brings me to is that's a story about the family that we are. Wildlife refuges, just as their public lands, are really just these small pods of work groups together out there. And people have to take care of each other, and the dynamics of those change with people floating in and out. But just as wildlife refuges aren't finite, lots of times boundaries of habitat, the habitats continue beyond them, and the ecosystems continue beyond them. Employees that work on the refuge system are so special because they're not standalone employees either. We're a part of a family. A family I'm very proud to be part of. And this job and this family have given more to me than I could ever possibly give back. Thank you very much.
All right. So we're going to take a picture here. All right. Congratulations. All right, folks. Give him another hand. Well, that's how you start the show off, right? That felt really special and good. Like I won the award. I was like, wow. So now we're going to bring up Libby Markings, Director of Governmental Affairs and Public Policy of the National Wildlife Refuge Association. And we're going to do a video.
And we work with all 16 refuges in Alaska, over 77 million acres and over 80% of the refuge lands in the nation. Well, first of all, our refuges are huge, they're magnificent, and they tend to be very pristine. We have wildlife, we have all species of wildlife, iconic wildlife like bears and caribou and moose and wolverine and salmon. I mean, this is paradise when it comes to nature, and our Alaska refuges are the best of it.
Hi, yes, so I'm Libby Marking. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for the Refuge Association. And I've only been with this organization for a few months, but I think literally in my first week of being with this organization, I was told that David Raskin is somebody that I need to talk to and he will be an incredible resource for me and a source of knowledge. So I think that just speaks to just how influential David really is in this space. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to join us tonight, so he will instead be sharing some words with us over video. But we are fortunate to have a few folks here from Alaska to help support him, including Brian Glassbell, the Chief of Refuges in Alaska. So I'd like to thank you all for being here to support such a deserving awardee. And the Refuge Association is so pleased to award David as the Advocate of the Year. In 2005, David co-founded the Friends of Alaska National Wildlife Refuges and has been the president since its founding for all but 2 years. And under his leadership, the Friends organization has thrived and become a leading local Alaskan conservation organization, bringing so many Alaskan voices to the forefront of this movement to support wildlife refuges. And as chair of the advocacy committee, he has been an outstanding advocate for Alaska's refuges, working extensively with coalitions, organizing volunteers, being a spokesperson for the media, writing opinion pieces, litigation activities, testifying in Congress, and honestly, the list just goes on and on. This man just doesn't stop. And throughout his work to protect and conserve Alaska's refuges, David has inspired and built a strong Alaska and national network of refuge supporters. And lastly, the relationships he has built and maintained over the years with refuge managers and Fish and Wildlife staff has been instrumental in establishing him, as well as the Friends Group, as a prominent, respected, and trustworthy advocate and a voice and partner. So we are absolutely honored to award David with the Advocate of the Year award, and we thank him for all of his incredible contributions to the refuge system. Thank you.
All right, folks, we're going to bring Congressman Stephen Hartsford back to the stage, and Courtney, the Director of the National Wildlife, Courtney, Director of Development of the National Wildlife Refuge Association, Eden Taylor, Communications of the National Wildlife Association, to the stage also. And we're going to play a video. Or are they going to do words? Is there a video? Oh, okay. You want a video over there?
I am fortunate to live in Homer, Alaska, headquarters of the Alaska Maritime Refuge and Friends of Alaska National Wildlife Refuges. I am deeply honored to accept this advocacy award from the Refuge Association that protects and enhances our national wildlife refuges. For 17 years, I have advocated for Alaska's 16 magnificent refuges that comprise over 80% of our national wildlife refuge lands. However, I could not have done this without the support and assistance of Alaska Friends board and members, Fish and Wildlife staff, Nicole Whittington-Evans, Deborah Williams, other conservation partners, and especially my wife of 63 years, Marga Raskin. 52 years ago, Marga and I began advocating for national parks, forests, and rivers in Utah. However, I never imagined I would receive this award for helping to protect Alaska's incomparable refuges. We moved to Homer in 1995, and I had little knowledge then of national wildlife refuges. However, in 2004, I was invited by Refuge Association President Evan Hershey to attend their board meeting held at the Maritime Refuge in Homer. The following year, we founded Alaska Friends, and I was asked to be its first president. 5 years later, we received the National Wildlife Refuge Association Friends of the Year Award for protecting and enhancing Alaska's 77 million acres of refuge lands. However, ongoing threats, industrial development, and roads through wilderness still require many actions, including lawsuits such as those on the Arctic, Eisenbeck, and Kenai Refuge that we have been involved in. My volunteer work has taken me to remote areas, and I have many fond memories of these special places, having worked closely with the Fish and Wildlife Service, the Refuge Association, our conservation partners, and most of all, friends. These experiences have instilled a deep passion in me for refuges and the need to protect them and preserve them in perpetuity. Of the awards and honors I've received during my 60 years of scientific and professional endeavors, I cherish this award above all others. It reflects my personal commitment to preserve the greatest system of natural resources, habitat, and wildlife on Earth, our National Wildlife Refuge System. I thank you for this heartfelt honor.
I was getting a little ahead of myself. We kind of keep this show moving. But now I call in Congressman Harsford, Courtney Phelan, and Eden Taylor to come up and speak.
Well, I'm back again.
Well, I've always been intrigued by the Mojave Desert, and I've flown over many times and looked down from 35,000 feet and said, my God, that's desolate down there. What do those people do down there? Well, since I'm retired now, I have a chance to come out and do that. And luckily, the Wildlife Refuge has invited me to participate in their day-to-day operation. Volunteers help hold it together. And what I hope people take from this is that there's a need for this part of the organization, and they should promote it heavily. I think they should encourage more people to volunteer.
So I'm very honored to be back up here to recognize another constituent. This time, please join me in congratulating Rodney Colvin, who has been named the Refuge Volunteer of the Year. Rodney volunteers at the Ash Meadows Wildlife Refuge and the Ash Meadows Fish Conservation Facility, which is a recognized wetland of international importance. This desert oasis, a very rare and unique ecosystem, is recovering and playing an important role in global conservation efforts. The refuge strives to promote conservation management and awareness through environmental education, outreach programs, volunteerism, and visitor services programs. Rodney has contributed significantly to the refuge and is known for taking beautiful photographs of Nevada's flora, fauna, and wildlife. His volunteerism and dedication to protecting the refuge are unparalleled, which is why I cannot think of anyone more deserving to be named the Refuge Volunteer of the Year. I want to invite all attendees here tonight and your families to visit our 9 refuges in Nevada to see how beautiful the Silver State is. So Rodney, thank you again for having me, and please give a great round of applause. I'd also like to present you with a certificate from my colleague, Senator Jackie Rosen, who was unable to be here, but sends her congratulations as well. Ladies and gentlemen, the Volunteer of the Year, Rodney Colvin.
As was mentioned, I'm Courtney Phelan, and I'm the Director of Development for the National Wildlife Refuge Association.
And I'm Eden Taylor, the Communications Associate for the National Wildlife Refuge Association. We would like to introduce the next award recipient, Rod Colvin, the winner of the Volunteer of the Year Award for his work at Ash Meadows National Wildlife Refuge and Ash Meadows Fish Conservation Facility in Nevada.
We discussed writing our own introduction detailing his impressive work for this unique desert oasis in the Mojave Desert, but we received a very special note from Rod's daughter, Jenny Thompson, and Rod's granddaughter, so we decided to share that instead.
My name is Jenny Thompson. I am Rod Colvin's daughter. I wanted to reach out to you because my daughter and I were asked to write a bio for my dad. We wrote one, and he edited it. He was very adamant that we write the unembellished truth with no horn blowing. He is very modest, but under these circumstances, I think a little horn blowing is okay. So I decided to send you some of the embellishments of my own. Rod has donated many more than the documented hours recorded to our national parks, national wildlife refuges, and wildlife. He has spent time in Lassen National Forest and Death Valley, as well as Ash Meadows National Wildlife Refuge.
My dad takes great joy in wildlife photography. He's able to capture some pretty unique shots of desert life that are often used on Death Valley National Historical page, as well as the Ash Meadows Facebook page. Death Valley is also selecting one of his photos to turn into a puzzle to sell in the gift shop. My dad is very humble, funny, generous, and admired. He has established himself as a trusted advisor and friend to many over the years. He is not only the rock of Ash Meadows, but the man who moves mountains for his family. We are so very proud of him. So congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Any words?
I'm overwhelmed. As you can tell, I'm a little bit out of my comfort zone here, so bear with me. I'd like to thank all of you for coming tonight. I'd like to thank the Refuge Association for supporting, acknowledging, and honoring the hard work and dedication that not just the award winners here tonight produce for the Fish and Wildlife Association refuge system, all the men and women that go out every day and work and contribute to the mission of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife System, and that I'm appreciative of. I'd like to thank Kevin Des Roberts, my project leader, Krista Wise, the deputy project leader, and my refuge manager, Michael Bauer, and all the people I work with every day who support me. Those people have made me a better conservationist, and I think maybe a better person too, and I appreciate that. And I'd like to thank my daughter for sharing me with Ash Meadows. Lord knows, since I've fallen in love with Ash Meadows, I don't get home for those family visits quite as often as I used to. And so Jenny set the table. I'll be there for Thanksgiving. I just can't explain or how appreciative and humbled I am by winning this honor. Thank you very much.
All right. He almost had me crying up here. That hat that he had on, the hat man. Congratulations. So, now I'd like to also present another video and bring Joan Patterson, the President, Coalition of Refuge Friends and Advocates, and Linda Shinny, National Friends Coordinator for U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Wildlife Refuge System, to the stage. Roll the video.
I've been a conservationist all my life. Even as a child, my parents taught me, though, when you leave a room, turn off the light. They were to save money, but that instilled in me. And also I was raised as a volunteer. I remember volunteering in grammar school, at the library. So I think we need more of that. I think it needs to be ingrained in people to conserve and not just waste, and know your actions have consequences. And I think we need to raise volunteers, because the federal government can't do it alone. Volunteers are a big part and parcel of anything that gets done anywhere.
So I'm Joan Patterson, and this is Linda. I'm with the Coalition of Refuge Friends and Advocates, otherwise known as CORFA. We are an all-volunteer group supporting friends organizations. And it is a real honor for us to present the Molly Gribble Friends Group of the Year Award to the Friends of Seal Beach. For those of you who didn't know Molly, she was a powerhouse. She was one of the Friends members that really helped to grow the Friends program from a few groups to almost 200 groups. Now, what she really believed was that Friends, they're really key to building the relationships between the refuge and a local community. And she believed that by doing that, you really bring the local community into the refuge. And what we're also finding now, that by doing that, you're bringing the refuge to the local community. And the Friends of Seal Beach have done a fantastic job at this. You know, it's a Friends group that's faced many barriers, and they've overcome them all. They're a Friends group that is supporting a refuge that is actually enclosed by a naval weapons station. Is it a place you want to visit? You know, in order to visit it, you need to get clearance from naval security. And the other thing that they're dealing with is this refuge probably is understaffed. It only has one service person there. And there's not always a service person there. So as Cynthia said, that at times it's duct tape and baling wire, that's what a Friends group is all about. They sometimes are that duct tape and baling wire. You know, but how did this group overcome all those barriers? They care passionately about that refuge, and they're committed to it. So they have created programs to bring people out to that refuge and make it a place that really matters. But more importantly, they have brought that refuge out to the community. And I'm going to turn it over to Linda now.
Perfect segue. Thank you, Joan. Again, my name is Linda Schnee. I'm the National Friends Program Coordinator. I'm really honored to be here. It's always wonderful to, I would say get out of a cubicle, but it's more like get out of my kitchen and come to an event like this. So as you heard on the video, we really can't do the work without friends. That is not just a nice thing to say, that is a true thing to say. The work would not get done that we really want to do and that the service personnel are passionate about without the friends. We rely on friends day in and day out, and it's our responsibility to support those friends the way that the friends support us. The list of community partnerships and the ways that this small but mighty group helps and connects with the community, it's unbelievable. Most of our friends groups, they really are small. And we don't want that to limit what they can do. And this group, Friends of Seal Beach, is a perfect example of how much you can do if you build those partnerships, not just with the government, with the Navy, but with your community. I can't even get through all of these things. Over 100,000 hours from volunteers in the 23 years that this group has been in existence. They have wonderful relationships, and they've built up trust with the Navy, which is so important. This work can't get done without that trust. You have to build relationships. Friends programs and partnerships are all about the relationships. You all know that. They have relationships with the county. They have relationships with sororities that are local. They have relationships as highway cleanup. They go out, they pick up trash, and people see them and they talk to people, and it's on the sign. So it's not just the pretty stuff, right? And we all know Friends do the stuff that isn't always the pretty stuff. They've worked to get articles in the local papers so people know who they are, and they've had a really wonderful way of just educating people without making it feel like it's an education. It's just illuminating what wonderful things are happening. They've also worked with the local environmental charter school to form those relationships with young students, which is so key and so important to building that next generation of conservation professionals or just people who care, like you heard on the video. So without further ado, we'd like to introduce, and I'll throw it back to Joan to introduce the people who are going to accept the award. So thank you.
Thanks. So unfortunately, the Friends of Seal Beach could not be with us this evening. So accepting the award on their behalf is Angie Horn. Angie is the Director of Urban Wildlife Refuge Programs for the Refuge Association, and also accepting it is Jill Tripp, who's Deputy Project Manager for the San Diego Complex. So, please.
Thank you. It's my honor to accept the award on behalf of the Friends of Seal Beach, who could not be here today. For nearly 2 decades, I've done this work on public lands. The Friends of Seal Beach are some of the most hardworking volunteers I've ever encountered. Their dedication in the face of limited access, environmental challenges, military activity, and a pandemic is truly inspirational. Recently, we just invited a Conservation Corps group to start work at Seal Beach National Wildlife Refuge, and we continue to change lives. Jill, do you want to say anything?
Sure. I've only recently been the project leader for the San Diego National Wildlife Refuge Complex, of which Seal Beach is one of our 4 refuges. And it was an initial opportunity for me to get to know these fabulous people. As mentioned before, they've been in operation for over 23 years, over 100,000 hours given to the National Wildlife Refuge system, and endless energy dedicated to advocacy for wildlife and resources and the system. I got to know them a little bit more during COVID because they were calling me constantly, when can we come back? When can we come back? They were so excited to finally be allowed by both the Fish and Wildlife Service and the Navy to get back on base, to get back on the refuge, and get back to doing what they love, and that's taking care of nature and then reaching out to the public to engage them. So on their behalf, we are so thrilled and grateful for this honor for them. Thank you.
And now I'm going to read a short statement by Carolyn Vance, who is the chair of the Friends of Seal Beach National Wildlife Refuge. Seal Beach is a wildlife refuge you probably haven't heard of, let alone visited. It sits on an active naval weapons station with limited access that also happens to include acres of precious and fast disappearing coastal wetlands in Southern California. However, there is an extremely dedicated group of volunteers who show up every day, rain or shine, to keep the refuge running. The Friends did not know we had been nominated until I received a call that we had won the award. It was a surprise to us, and we want to thank the National Wildlife Refuge Association for this great honor. It's nice to know our hard work has been recognized and appreciated. Congratulations to all of the other winners. We are humbled to be in such company. I wish I could name every friend who contributed to our success, but we don't have much time, so I will thank our board, Mort Ducart, Esther Cummings, Joe Lazari, and Jillian Gallery. Thank you all from the bottom of my heart. With over 560 National Wildlife Refuges throughout the U.S., it's easy to visit one in your state. Seal Beach National Wildlife Refuge is my happiest place on earth. No copyright. And every time I go, there is something different to witness or experience. It never ceases to make my heart sing and lift my soul. All refuges, but particularly this one, can have that effect on us all. So thank you on behalf of the Seal.
Thank you. All right.
Go that way.
And should we get downstage and take a picture?
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring Jeff Haskett back up to the stage.
So a slight change in plans. So we're going to go on to the next award by asking him to hold off a little bit, because when we were doing the David Raskin Award, I texted David in Alaska, and he was not able to be here because there's some health problems his wife has. He really wanted to be here. So last year when we did the virtual part of this, it didn't work very well, and I was very curious how it was going to go this year, but apparently the signal was perfect this year, and people can actually see us and hear us. So thank you. You're doing great work over there. So I checked with David, and yes, he can see us great. So I just sent him a note saying, hopefully you're watching and seeing your award being given. Wish you were here. Hope you're all doing okay. Your friend Jeff. He says, thanks, Jeff. I wish we were there, but Margaret's health comes first. She's doing okay, and we're working to improve her health. I sure do miss seeing all of my great friends. So I just wanted to pass it on from David Raskin. David, if you're watching right now, thank you. So back to Wayne. Oh, back to me? Okay. I am up next. It's Manager of the Year Award coming up. So, do we do a video first? Okay.
I came to Kentucky several years ago and became the manager of the Clarks River National Wildlife Refuge. And since then, we have established a new refuge, the Green River National Wildlife Refuge. So we're talking about a couple of refuges today. In particular, on these refuges, they're both basically still in their infancy. Even though Clarks River National Wildlife Refuge has been established for 20 years, that's still a young refuge. And I've kind of always been associated with new refuges, and I really enjoy that, because there's so much potential that you get to see develop over time. That's what excites me about the current refuge that I'm at, is the resources that we have, that we're bringing into some sort of conservation status, being able to develop them, promote them.
A Refuge Volunteer that went up there, but that wasn't you this time. So, all right, so I tell you what, each year when the nominations are reviewed, we're always just incredibly impressed with the caliber of the level of work, the accomplishments people do that come into us. It's really difficult for us to choose just who the person is. And we've been doing this, I think I mentioned, for 28 years now, that we've been doing the Refuge Manager of the Year. It's a pretty big deal. So we've been doing this award since 1994, which is pretty amazing to me. The award recognizes outstanding accomplishments by a refuge manager for the protection and management of national wildlife refuges. The award is given each year in honor of Paul Kroegel, the first manager of the first ever refuge established by Theodore Roosevelt in 1903 at Peloquin Island, Florida. The award is presented to a current refuge manager's accomplishments are judged to best exemplify Paul Kroegel's great legacy. This year's winner is Michael Johnson from Clarks River and Green River National Wildlife Refuges. So what I do to do the introduction for this, I go through the nomination, And it was like pages and pages and pages of stuff that he's accomplished. So I've actually pared it down. So we got a little bit to cover here. It's just amazing what he's accomplished. And when they first started talking about it, in November 2019, the Fish and Wildlife Service established the second only National Wildlife Refuge fully located in Kentucky. And I remember when the first refuge was established in Kentucky, I was actually the chief of the realty program in D.C., and it was a big deal. I mean, people didn't necessarily want a refuge in Kentucky. And I don't know if it's changed that much, actually, but because of the work that this man has done, it was fully accepted and very successful in getting it set up. This is a testament to Michael's vision, the excellent outreach he led, and the trust he built with partners, with the community. His efforts culminated in a flawless, large dedication event for the service and all our partners out there. Michael's hit 30 years with the service in October 2021, starting with his first position at the Cache River National Wildlife Refuge. And that's when we first met. So that's a long time ago. To his first refuge manager job at Harris Neck National Wildlife Refuge. So I always got to stop and tell some stories. So at Harris Neck, so my daughter Rachel is now in her mid-30s. She's a teacher in Albuquerque. She was probably 8 years old or 10 years old the first time we went to Harris Neck. And a lot of you remember Mark Musaeus, who, longtime Fish and Wildlife Service, long time working with us in the Refuge Association. So he was working out there, and he was your supervisor then? So I brought my daughters Nicole and Rachel out to the refuge, and they had these big towers for the storks there. And I turned my back for a minute. Mark Musaeus has my daughter Rachel up on top of this big giant tower, which freaked me out immensely. So I don't know if you were there then or not, but it's a big memory for me. So
Mark scared me a lot as well.
Mark, yeah, he said Mark scared him a lot too. So anyway, 30 years with the Fish and Wildlife Service, Cache River being the first place. In all his work, he's increased public understanding and access of refuges. His commitment to conservation is built upon a strong foundation of relationships. It's been incredibly important. Michael stepped up in many other ways over the years when needed. For instance, he assumed a collateral duty as a law enforcement authority for more than 20 years despite no additional pay or no recognition. Just did that because it was the right thing to do, which we appreciate very, very much. Over the past decade, he's been one of the top 2 project leaders in the Southeast out of 30 project leaders to have former student hires become permanent employees through his mentoring and other development. That's a big deal. We're always looking out there. I say we, I'm not with the Fish and Wildlife Service anymore, but when I was with the Fish and Wildlife Service, we're always looking to do that kind of thing, and we're not always that successful, so it's pretty cool you're able to do that. The characteristics that make Michael effective in developing strong partnerships also make him effective in managing staff through strong relationships. He's known as a strong, great mentor. He's frequently called upon because of his exceptional knowledge and broad experience in hiring and developing new service employees. Michael prioritizes his staff, working with them to further develop their skills and to empower them in their roles. Michael balanced the difficult last couple of years. I think we all know COVID time has just been tough for everybody. He managed a team serving both Clarks River and Green River refuges through the COVID pandemic, all the while ensuring employee and public safety. Michael continued to provide opportunities for the next generation, hiring and providing a welcoming and developing experience for Pathways program, student hire, 4 university interns, in addition to permanent staff. Michael, despite the tremendous workload for his 2 refuges, always thinks of the greater Fish and Wildlife Service need and the conservation good. He supported his team, serving in a number of regional roles, including temporary assignments, acting leadership roles, participating on regional teams, and more to assist others, while also ensuring the refuge's priority work was always completed. Michael is known throughout the service for his unique skills in working with and building strong relationships, and is frequently called upon by his colleagues for advice in this area. He works closely with the newly established Friends of Green River organization and continues to help lead the broader landscape-focused Riverlands Alliance as a founding member. He prioritizes maintaining long-standing relationships with other partners, including Murray State University, the Southern Conservation Corps, and the Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife Resources. Michael's highly skilled in the science of habitat management. In the past several years, in the face of staff shortages and budget declines, he's utilized existing staff, resources, and collaboration with partners to accomplish mobile, acoustic, bat monitoring efforts, ongoing research and reports on xerohydric flatwood soils. Did I say that right? Xerohydric? Xerohydric. I did not say it right. Xerohydric, flatwood soils, surveys and assessments of the fish fauna of the Clarks River, comprehensive baseline inventories of amphibians and reptiles, and a botanical survey of the refuge. This comprehensive and critically important information about refuge resources informs ongoing refuge information management decisions. Michael has prioritized close coordination with multiple partners to restore the refuge's rare, unique flatwood habitats at Clarks River National Wildlife Refuge. Clarks River is home to some of the most extensive tracts of xerohydric. Anybody else know how to say that word besides me? I should know it, but okay, xerohydric. These flatwoods, xerohydric flatwoods, are endangered throughout much of the range. In recent years, Michael hosted a xerohydric flatwoods restoration and management restoration workshop on the refuge. In addition to the restoration and management of forests, Clarks River Refuge has over 1,000 acres of plantations on which forest treatments are being implemented to restore tree species diversity and increase natural vegetation for wildlife. Michael's work here is exceptional. Michael and the other land managers themselves, and they couldn't make a real impact alone because so much of the land is privately owned within their area. So they established the Riverlands Alliance, which now consists of over 20 partners. Federal, state, local, non-governmental organizations are actively communicating and working together to sustain the quality of resources, outdoor recreation, and rural aspects of the area. Michael remains an active leader on the Riverlands Alliance, which encompasses 27 counties in western Kentucky and Tennessee. Michael's efforts to develop and maintain strong relationships with a variety of partners and stakeholders results in cutting-edge research being developed and conducted in the refuges he manages. Natural wetland methane, CH14, plays an important role in global climate change. CH14 is one of the major greenhouse gases. Working with Michael, Murray State University received a Department of the Energy grant to research methane fluxes in different habitats. Murray State University will investigate the spatial and temporal carbon dynamics of a temperate bald cypress mineral soil wetland and an adjacent bottomland hardwood island on Clarks. In 2012-2013, Clarks River National Wildlife Refuge was going through the process of a comprehensive conservation plan, CCP, development that included land expansion. Local history in the area had convinced people that land expansion within federal agencies was a bad idea. There was another local agency that had done a lot of condemnation, made things bad, and it was his work talking to people that convinced them through scheduled public meetings, pre-meetings. He changed the atmosphere and the discussion there with those folks. Michael's reassuring and calming personality helped attendees shift their perspectives. He affirmed and emphasized that land acquisition would be conducted as it always had been, on a willing seller basis and not by force. Public opinion significantly changed after hearing Michael in these meetings. And I will say Fish and Wildlife Service, in my entire career, and my first 13 years of my career was in the realty group, never did condemnations. It's always willing seller, and it's always been a big problem where you come into an area where there's been condemnations prior to that. You have to convince people we're not going to do that. We have a long history, but being able to do that's pretty impressive. More recently, Michael spearheaded the extensive outreach and communication efforts of the nation's newest refuge, Green River National Wildlife Refuge. He worked tirelessly with a broad array of stakeholders to make Green River National Wildlife Refuge a reality. Building upon previous efforts to establish the refuge, Michael rallied longtime partners to enthusiastically support and champion the refuge's establishment. Michael's persistence and commitment to open, consistent communication has resulted in partners embracing the vision of how Wildlife Refuge complements local efforts to conserve the area's rich heritage and extending enthusiastic support and cooperation. Michael is the face of the National Wildlife Refuge System in Western Kentucky. He's often the first call of elected officials, state agency partners, and neighbors on wildlife matters. He easily develops and maintains constructive relationships in the communities he serves, resulting in productive meetings, information sharing, and high levels of trust. Michael Johnson has had a long and distinguished career serving in the Service's National Wildlife Refuge System. He's served at 4 National Wildlife Refuge complexes over his 30-year career. His experience in refuge management at Central Arkansas National Wildlife Refuge Complex, Savannah National Wildlife Refuge Complex, and South Arkansas National Wildlife Refuge, and the refuge manager role at Clarks and Green River Refuges. In each of these positions, Michael has excellently represented the service and the refuge system, resulting in significant accomplishments that further the mission of the National Wildlife Refuge System and the purpose of the refuges he oversees. Michael has contributed significantly to conservation efforts in Kentucky, throughout the Southeast region, and most importantly on the refuges that he manages. So it's my great honor to present Michael Johnson, this year's Refuge Manager of the Year Award. Actually, can we get Martha Williams and Cynthia to come up here too for this picture?
That does make sense.
Actually,
That
Will.
does.
He had so many accomplishments, I wasn't sure I could actually get through them all on the thing, so very impressive. Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
We're still on the stage. We're still on the stage.
Scarf. Cynthia, don't run off with that. Thank you very much, Jeff. First thing, I'm going to take Wayne's word for it that this is kind of like the, I guess, the Emmys, but the conservation Emmys. I've cut what I was going to say down from about 30 minutes to about...
Music is running, dog.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right, so first, I definitely want to congratulate my fellow awardees. I'm very proud of what you do every day for the refuge, that you work on the refuge system. Proud to stand here among you. Thank you very much. Also, I'd like to thank everyone who came out tonight for this special occasion. I was hoping to share with you a little bit about what receiving this award has meant to me in the past few months. So I'm kind of going to take you through a little journey and kind of how it unfolded for me. So I received a call, and it was from California. I don't answer too many calls from California. I don't know that many people, so I didn't answer it. But I should have. So I actually did call Marge Kohler back, and she said, now told me that I had been selected as the award Refuge Manager of the Year. So the first thing I thought was, do they have the right Michael Johnson? I mean, it just went through my mind real quick because, trust me, there's a lot of Michael Johnsons out there. You probably all know one. And it's been challenging for me in my personal life and career with all the MJs that are out there. So that was my first thought. But my disbelief, honestly, was kind of from that initial shock. I did not know I was a nominee. I also know the caliber of managers that's received this award in the past. As a matter of fact, 2 or 3 of them are my mentors. So that was playing into my thinking. And then I also know the exceptional quality of managers we have out there across the nation managing our National Wildlife Refuges, so an MJ. So you see where I was kind of going with that. So some of those questions and disbelief were pretty much answered over the next few weeks and months as I started becoming more aware of how people see me versus how I see myself. And so, that's something to take into account. And I started to, I guess it kind of began with my family when I went in and started telling them about the award, receiving the award. I saw them smiles, gleaming with smiles, shedding some tears, started giving me all these words of praise. And I know they're always proud of me, but in that moment, that gave them the opportunity to express it. And it just filled my heart so much with all this pride, So that was kind of how it started. And then I found out who was on the nominating committee. And oh my gosh, the people that put my name forward are some of the most respected and awesome individuals that I know. And to think that they put me in a position tonight to represent them, but also so many others across the nation, that means the world. So even after that, I started getting tons of texts, emails, phone calls, cards across the country, as you can imagine. I'm sure you guys got many as well. And a lot of them were filled with these heartfelt comments and that just really touched me. And I'll never forget that. And I'll share one of those little stories with you. I did receive a phone call from a 95-year-old lady who I used to work with her and her husband on trying to accomplish something on the refuge, and they were private landowners. They moved away about 10 years ago, and I haven't spoken with them in several years. She calls me out of the blue. She says, Mike, I was on my iPad, and I was looking at the news, and I'm already smiling. And she said, I saw where you received this national recognition. And I said, yes, Miss Bethel, I did. And she goes, well, I'm so very happy for you, and I'm glad that everyone else finally knows what me and my husband have known all along. And when she said that, I really just started smiling, almost laughing, but it really meant a lot for her to call and tell me that. She also sent me a card, by the way. So after that, I have to tell you about all the congratulatory parties. I hope you guys got a bunch of parties, because celebrations, let's call them. But my grandkids like to call them parties. And so what happened was there was an office, there was friends groups, there was a virtual get-together with friends, family, co-workers. But the most memorable was the ones I came to on consecutive days when I came home. My grandchildren had organized and were throwing me their own party. So Maddie, age 7, Harley Bell, age 4, Jeremiah, age 2, and Marin, age 1, love a great celebration, especially if it's got pizza, cake, and balloons. And those did for 4 consecutive days. And I can tell you that I can tell you right now that I have had more pizza and cake, or I've ate that more in the last few months since receiving this award than I have in probably 10 years. So all these things have happened after getting the call. So I guess those experiences caused me to reflect, a lot on myself and my career, and it was overwhelming for sure. I want to thank the National Wildlife Refuge Association for their years of dedicated advocacy for the National Wildlife Refuge System, and for providing this platform of recognition for many of our dedicated and passionate employees of the National Wildlife Refuge System. Now, although myself and my fellow awardees were selected for the 2022 awards, there was many more deserving nominees, and there's many more deserving individuals out there working for us and being the stewards of our lands that we call refuges. Obviously the refuge system boasts some of the most special places on earth. As we all know that. The system is supported by some of the most dedicated and passionate employees and volunteers and other contributed stakeholders. I want to thank God for this blessing, for all the blessings He provides to me every day. And I also want to thank my wife, who's sitting over here. I thank my family, my friends, my U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service family, and all those who provided guidance and support for me in my personal life and in my career. So in closing, I want to thank everybody who participated in putting this event together. You did a great job. It's awesome. We can call it a celebration, but I'm going to call it a party. And I'm going to go home and I'm going to tell my grandkids that we had a big party. And I know what's going to happen. They're going to use that as an opportunity to plan some additional ones for me at the house. So tonight, again, I serve as a representative of my fellow refuge managers across the nation, both past, present, and future. I don't take that lightly, and I consider it a true honor. I want to encourage everyone here to keep the faith that what you do is making a difference on our refuges and in the conservation arena. I encourage you to seek consensus at all costs, and then we need to focus. We need to focus our efforts. Consensus and focus. Our conservation community is in our strengths. Our conservation community strengths are in our passion and dedication, and that's infinitely multiplied when we reach consensus. That's all I have tonight. It's a little long, sorry, Eden, but I really felt from the heart I needed to say most of that. So thank you all.
Thank you so much. So we're actually kind of getting close to the point where we can get over to have some dessert and some additional drinks. Only a couple more things. Asking Cynthia to come back up here. I got to tell you, these lights are super, super bright. So I don't know. It's like, I'm going to find something here. Yeah, okay. The future's so bright, I got to wear shades. Well, I thought I'd get more of a laugh than that. Okay. All right, Cynthia, come on up.
You want me to go first?
Yep, you first.
All right. Well,
Oh, thank you.
I don't want to get mixed up, man. All right. Awesome. Hey, you've heard their stories. You learned a little bit about our award recipients tonight. I guarantee you that is just a snippet of what they do each and every day for wildlife, for the American public, for each other. I showed Rob a picture of my now 17-year-old son. He's like, holy cow, I remember when he was playing in your office as a toddler. But you know what? The thread that linked each of them was their selflessness. They gave credit to others without even thinking about it. They recognized the connection to a system, a national network of lands and waters for the conservation, management, and where appropriate, restoration of fish, wildlife, and plant resources and their habitats for the benefit of present and future Americans. They represent the best we have, the best that we are. They represent the passion, commitment, and talent of the people that find their calling on National Wildlife Refuges. National Wildlife Refuges, places where wildlife and people thrive. We are grateful for the opportunity to celebrate their success and reflect on their hard work, recognizing that it is a mere reflection of the dedication that our friends, volunteers, advocates, and employees have across the National Wildlife Refuge system. Thank you to the National Wildlife Refuge Association for providing the forum for us to recognize those that think they are just doing their jobs, but are truly leaders in the conservation movement we call the National Wildlife Refuge System. Thank you for joining us tonight and for your dedication and commitment to supporting the work that we do for wildlife conservation on behalf of the American people. Thank you.
So I can't really top that. Just a couple comments. Again, as I started out talking about, this is a great opportunity for friends, colleagues, people who've worked together for many, many years to get together, see each other for the first time in many years in some cases, and celebrate the National Wildlife Refuge System and celebrate the great people that work for the system. And, you know, the Refuge Association, that's what we're about. We're about supporting the refuge system, and we know you all are too. We thank you for being here. And let's just make sure that every day we do something that supports the system and gives it a little more protection, a little more help, a little more support. So with that, I'll say thank you for coming and turn it back over to my good friend, Wayne Hubbard.
All right, all right. Well, folks, it's been a great show, been a fun show. He listened. That's why he's the manager of the year. You know, I'm just really excited to be here. I want to thank everyone for coming. It was amazing. One of the things I want to say to you is these centerpieces that you see on the tables. They represent different plants and species of diversity that you can see in the different refuge systems across the country. So I want you to know there was a lot of energy and a lot of passion put into that. So I know some people want to take it home. I want one. I'll ask Jeff, but that's a different story. But other than that, I want to thank you for all coming. I will see you next year. And in the famous words of a good friend of mine and a philosopher, L. Wood York, don't walk with your eyes closed. You might walk into a wall. Be safe. Have a good one. And we're going to be taking pictures, right? All the award winners. Other than that, thank you guys. The show is over.